Hi, how you doing, folks? Welcome to London. This is Tottenham Court Road, tube station. I think it's a major junction with the Crossrail, which has been behind schedule for I don't know. Is it 10 years? But anyway, it's due to be open in I don't know, in the next couple of years. It was meant to be open 2 years ago, then they said this year, then it's kind of like next year, and it's going to be one of the longest line. They call it the Queen Elizabeth line, and it's the longest, probably underground and overground, one link. So I think it starts all the way from almost to the, let's say, the seaside with the port, and it goes all the way down to Reading, so it goes all the way through central London. Looking at the rate of expansion that London is expanding, it's probably a good investment. The reason being, the rate of buildings the rate of buildings is so fast and so strong that it will be a very necessary mode of public transport. And looking at, this is central London right here. This is Tottenham Court Road. I've spent many a times down here. Not so much these days, believe it or not. It used to be back in the days, can't remember whether it was the 90s or the 80s when the electronic and entertainment thing blew up, and we had a whole chain of entertainment store called Lasky's. They sold hi-fi and electronics, and that was the big boom in hi-fi and sound and getting used to. Well, it was a new wave of consumer electronics and a new form of entertainment. There was also something around called quadraphonic. It never took off. It was about four speakers, and you had the sound around the room. But it had been overseeded by a thing called surround sound. So now we got four speakers and a bass speaker, so it's 5.1 or 4.1. You got 6.1, you got 7.1. So now you not only have you got four speakers around you, you got four speakers up on the ceiling. You got a mid speaker in front and a mid speaker in back, and you've got a bass speaker, subwoofer, right? And that is, I mean, if you're really up to with your stuff, you know, how many speakers was that? Four on the ceiling, four on the ground, plus two, 4 on 4 is 8, 9, 10, plus the bass, right? So that's 11 speakers, 11 amplifiers, 10 basic amplifiers, one amplifier driving the bass. So this is where we're at with sound. This is London Town. I pay those guys a lot of money to do that, and they're right on time as well, you know. So a little bit of London Town there. For those of you watching in the America, in Africa, in the Caribbean, the Asias, as in China. I don't know why you call them Asia. China, India. To get political now, these words, Asian, and it's to deny you of your true identity. You know, they class you in one, and they don't recognize you as an individual. It's the same way when they call you black, right? They class you in one, they class you in a certain way, they don't recognize you as an individual. So they take away your individual identity and your individual power to, and also it helps. It is part of a system to actually restrict you in order to fulfill your full potential. You know. But here's what: if you are in a society and you're participating in a society, right, and you're part of that society, it doesn't matter from whence you came or where you came. If you're fully functional within that society and you attain and achieve the highest level you can, then that society itself actually benefits. Now, if you're constantly restricting different sections of your society, you're actually restricting yourself in the ability to win in whatever race you perceive you're in. Okay, a good example is America, black music industry. Don't talk about Michael Jackson, don't talk about James Brown, don't talk about Jay-Z, don't talk about Beyonce, right? Still in that restrictive world, right? They've managed to break through and still have their identity. So back to calling people Asian and these, it's kind of derogatory and people don't even figure it out, right? Or even calling a person black. Right now, that is controversial, but here's what. How could you call a whole block of people, right, from Africa, from the Caribbean, from America, from Britain, how could you use one word to describe them? You cannot use one word to describe them. You're using one word to demonize and derogatizing them. And a lot of people haven't realized that yet, right? Each person has their own identity, right? And you are denied your own identity when you're called a certain term which encompass people from America, the Caribbean, Africa, the UK. It denies you your identity. So these block identities of people is not good. Anyway, here we are, back in London. It's forever growing, right? And while before the recession, this here was being built, and you can see it was on a phenomenal growth. The economy and investments, but it's not for me and you. Here's one. When I say me and you, I mean I'm assuming that you're from a certain socio-economic situation, and if you're not in that, I don't know what it is, the money class, or I don't think it's even educational, because even if you go and you get yourself a degree, doesn't mean you're going to get a job, because there are a lot of people doing a lot of menial jobs, actually highly qualified. I don't know if you could see, but there's a protest just outside the station there, right? Now, I believe it's about the Hong Kong. No, I'm making a guess. I haven't read the flag. I don't think is it a protest or is it just violent? But for me to find out, I've got to go and ask them and interview them. If I say anything, it'll be just pure speculation. But anyway, happy science. Is that the Scientology group? Is that the Scientology group, which has the headquarters down there, and they've been there for like, I don't know, like 50 years or so. Anyway, so back to the constant building and rebuilding of London. It is really looking at the density of the building there. It is really dense. All right, that's the main station there. But behind it is like that building just back there used to be called Astoria. And many times, Flip Fraser, by the way, Flip Fraser had his, this is part of Camden, and Flip Fraser had his event there, Caravana. I don't think we had black heroes in there, right? But it was also, then it was a gay nightclub. They literally call it gay, Gay, right? And it was there for like 10 years or so. But in its various incarnation, I've been in and out of that building, which doesn't exist. And in between the building, there is a road. And I think the road, they might have kept the road. It looks like they might have kept the road. And it goes into a square just behind there, which is another famous, well, every place in London here is famous. And every square meter of London is famous. But it keeps on changing, it's constantly being redone. This is a great example of it being redone. Whether you spent any time in Astoria, in GAY, right? Whether it's part of your life cycle, you know, it's gone, no more. Right? And for the new people coming along, they haven't got a clue what was there before once it's built. So this is the changing face of London all the time. I had fantastic time in London. My childhood here was in London. I had fantastic time. I shopped on Oxford Street. Can't afford it no more. In fact, there's no reason to come down Oxford Street because you can do and get everything online. So when you have a store on Oxford Street, they build it, or they do it in such a flamboyant and fabulous way in order to make a statement and to say that they're saying something. I don't think it's so much about sales, because so much sales now is actually online. And this is where the post office and the postman has a lot more work to do. The poor postman has to carry these parcels delivered. So not only is he carrying letters, he's carrying parcels as well, which makes you try to figure out why the post office actually has a problem earning money, which everybody buying online, you should be able to make money. But in fact, they're not making money. They're cutting everything, and they're cutting jobs as well. Maybe it's because of automation, you know. But yeah, so this is London town, constantly changing. What was is now gone. This road itself was actually a one-way road. It was a one-way road for about 10 or 20 years, but now it's two ways, because the buses had to go all the way. I don't know why. I'm just guessing. The buses had to go all the way round the street to the side over there, but you couldn't. So you had to walk across to get to Tottenham Court Road, you know, and Oxford Street. So now I guess you can catch the bus, and it's easier to get to Oxford Street to do your shopping. All right, so here we are, Sunday, almost 1 week after, 6 days after the lockdown. Not the lockdown, the easing of the lockdown. We're down to 80% of the restrictions of the lockdown. So today's a Sunday. Time now is about 12 o'clock. This is Tottenham Court Road, central London. They call it the West End. The West End. Are they still calling it the West End? Anyway, that's a whole different story again. Temperature today, I would say it's averaging about 23, 24 today, when the sun's out. When the clouds go in, it drops down to about 18 degrees or so. So, you know, in fact, it's a pleasant day today. But this is London now. This is a changing face of London town. So from a Sunday, 6 days after the easing to 80% of the lockdown, this is a look at London, and we'll wait and see and look and follow what happens next. Right, see you on the next webcast.